Ballad of Johnny Arcane by Jim Nail. Read by Jim Nail. Chapter 16, Badlands, Part 2. They traveled all morning under a continually hazy sky, through a landscape of strange abandoned buildings, mills of some sort perhaps, silos, smokestacks, cables, chutes, ladders. Not as ancient as dolmens, they were still in the process of collapse. Metal awnings sagged precariously. Bits of machinery hung from snapped cords. Rusty gates soughed in the wind. Mars took the rein again. The first thing Johnny did was locate his corn oil jar and drop in another pebble. There were 15 days left until the morning of the fourth moon. Johnny asked Mars about the people of the trash hills. Why did they have money? Why were they so able to part with it? Money doesn't serve them well. The currency is merchandise. It's a vicious cycle. Every now and then the junk men come along and buy the things they salvage. But the merchants hardly ever go there anymore. I'm one of a dying breed. They get tired of looking at that same old garbage. They want to see something new and shiny. Mid-afternoon, the scenery changed again. There were no buildings ahead, no structures, no foliage, no features of any sort. The earth was flat and dry, with cracks big enough to hide a man's fist. The road itself, nothing but two tamped wheel ruts. A great white cloud of dust gathered behind them. When slowed, it would overtake them. Every now and then, one of the buzzing machines Johnny first saw when they entered the city crossed their path. Wild-maned, half-naked men banked their machines in sharp hairpins, laughing crazily, and disappeared into their own dust. The air grew warmer. The ponies' hooves cocked monotonously, and the wagon staves creaked, a hypnotic repetition. Johnny grew silent. Mars sang some modal melody, something about a girl on another planet, about making love to her while she slept. His voice grew dusty and the song trailed off into a mumble of moans. Time stretched out into longer and longer segments, and every now and then a segment would break off. And Johnny woke with a start to find nothing had changed, and the pattern began again. Then there was a buzz, like grasshoppers. It rose in pitch, then stopped abruptly. A sense of presence startled Johnny. A person sitting next to him, between him and Mars, on the buckboard. He turned. Mars turned. It was the boy. He was still wearing the floral tunic with the fringed collar, although its color had faded with the dust. Mars looked at Johnny. Holy sweet diesel, how did he get here? The boy looked straight ahead. I hid under the bed, he whispered. Mars shook the reins sharply. The pony halted, and immediately the cloud of dust overtook them. Well, you can just get out right now. The boy didn't move. Johnny said, You can't throw him off here. He would die. Well, that's not my problem. I told him no riders. Johnny felt his will rising. This was not how people were treated in the world he grew up in. Keep him for a while. There must be a safer place than this. And besides, maybe he can help us somehow. Mars stared off in the distance, pondering. He nodded his head several times and then rolled it from side to side and nodded again. "You might have a point there, Clearlight," he said at last. "The black coats surely want the boy back. They probably pay a pretty good price for him." The boy let out a cry and his body began to shiver like he was sitting on a block of ice. "No, no, no, no." He sprang from the buckboard, but his knees buckled and he folded into a pile of bones in the dust. "You heard what Clearlight said. You'll just die out here. Now get back in the wagon." "No, Mars." Johnny's resolve was now fully awake. "You can't do this. You can't be saving one person from the black coats if you're just going to be selling another one back to them." "Be quiet, Clearlight. This is not a time for sentiment. Help the boy back in the wagon." Johnny jumped down and lifted the boy up from under his arms. There were fresh clots of blood foaming on the tunic. "I won't let him do this to you," he whispered. "Just come with us for now." Back in the wagon, the boy did not stay on the buckboard. He stumbled inside and threw himself onto the bed, sobbing. Johnny climbed up next to Mars. He could feel the hair bristling on his arms. "Don't talk to me about love if you're going to do something like this." Mars looked straight ahead, reins in hand. "There's smart love and there's stupid love, Clearlight. You'll come around. Giddy up, Angel." The pony began to move. Johnny folded his arms across his chest. Anger was coursing through his blood, down his legs, up his spine, but it kept meeting up with something else, something softer, something that spoke of a connection to home, to music, to friends, and all the sweetness he had left behind. He has a name for his pony. He calls her Angel. Even so, he couldn't stay on the buckboard with the man. He went back into the back of the wagon where the boy lay on the bed, no longer sobbing, just whimpering softly. He poured a tumbler full of water from his canteen. He found the bread and some dried meat. These things he offered to the boy. He sat on the floor below the bed while the boy ate. "What's your name?" The boy didn't say anything. "Where are you going?" He thought the boy wouldn't answer this question either, but eventually there was a muffled reply. "Saskatchewan, my mother." Johnny folded his hands in his lap. "Yeah, I got a mother too." The wagon rolled and rattled on for a long time, and the buzz of insects came and went. Mars's voice could be heard singing softly from the buckboard. Johnny grew sleepy. He had completely forgotten that he had mentioned his mother when the boy spoke again. "What's her name?" A picture flashed through Johnny's mind. Mother fingering a pinch of fire grate ash into the northernmost wall sconce. "Well, I called her Mother, but her name was Calendula." "Calendula Clearlight," the boy whispered. It was not so much a question, it was more like a pair of words he wanted to taste. Johnny didn't know why he said what he said next. It just tumbled out of his mouth. "No," he said. "Arcane. Calendula Arcane. My father wasn't with her long, but she kept the name." The boy let that sink in. Jimmy Arcane, he said. Johnny didn't answer. There was another silence. Then the boy spoke again. His voice now infused with lucidity. Johnny Arcane, he said conclusively. Neither of them spoke after that. The boy fell asleep. Perhaps Johnny fell asleep too. The next thing he knew, it was dark. The wagon had stopped, and Mars was inside, rattling his pots and pans. I'm going to fix us some supper now, he said. We're staying here for the night, and we're not going to talk about it. You sus? About what? You know what. The place where we disagree. Mars had a little stove that burned with a strange blue flame, hotter than corn oil. He cooked up some kind of stew in one of his pots, chunks of dried meat and some unnameable dehydrated vegetables. He took a lantern and they ate out on the buckboard, the two of them. The boy stayed on the bed, but he accepted the bowl of stew between his cupped hands. Outside it was so dark the only visible feature was the line of the horizon, circling them in all directions. The sky yielded up no stars, and Johnny knew from his pebbles there would be no moon. After eating, Mars stuffed his pipe with the illumination and lit it with a fire stick. Johnny's heart was as dark as the night, the place where they disagree. But if he couldn't talk about this place, what could he talk about? It was crucial. He was alone with this man in the place where they disagreed. Why don't you smoke this, Clearlight? It makes me do bad things. Johnny's voice was flat and cold. No, it doesn't. It's the illumination. It opens your mind. It lights your way. When you got a hard problem to solve, you just smoke some and the question is answered. You drink whiskey? No. Mars chuckled. Now there's something that'll make you do bad things. He took a deep drag on the pipe. But I miss it some. I've been clean now for over 3 summers. Clean. The word did not fit with Johnny's conception of the man, and he wished he could express this, but he didn't know how. Finally, he just repeated it. Clean. Oh yeah, I became a drunkard when I turned 13. Just like my daddy, or so we think. I lost my soul completely. It was Beazle that found it and brought it back to me. You got drunkards where you come from, Clearlight? What's a drunkard? You know, a drunkard. A drunkard is a little lamb that loses its way. He falls in a well of whiskey and he can't get out. A drop of whiskey lands on his skin. It sinks through the pores and drives him so mad he has to break the jar to drink the rest. I traded in my desire for whiskey. I traded it in for the golden light of love. Don't people drink whiskey where you come from, Clearlight? Everybody drinks where I come from. Whiskey, beer, brandy, they drink when they get together and it warms their hearts. It's not a problem for anybody, except it was for me. It made me do something I regret. Oh yeah? What was that? I broke a code of honor. Mars thought about this for a while. Honor? He said at last. Honor is weak. Desire conquers honor every time.